Okay, hello everybody. I am June Sarpong, and it is an absolute pleasure and an honor to be leading this BAFTA masterclass with the phenomenal Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel, I want to know something. Why have you and I never met before? And why have people been keeping us away from each other? What is up with this?
June, you was up. You've been up. You just been up. I was coming up. I was just trying to think. I was trying to get in your rooms. I had no invite. They said no ID, no entry. I didn't even have ID. I couldn't even afford ID them times. So like, it was one of those ones. But I don't know. Yeah, I've been like, I'm such a huge fan of you, June, and it's an honor. It's an honor for you to be here. You know what I mean?
You know, the honor is all mine. So to everybody that's tuning in, we're thrilled to be here. We're super excited. Well, I am, for this conversation. But we also want your contributions. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box, and I'll be sure to ask Daniel at the end of our conversation. So Daniel, the point of this masterclass is really for creatives, creatives that want to understand your creative process, and also what they themselves can do to really push storytelling forward. That said, we're also going to have a good laugh in this discussion.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's enjoy. Let's enjoy.
Yeah, say what you need to say, my love. So I think first things first, how's COVID been treating you? How has this whole year been for you as a performer?
I've not performed,
Yeah.
which is probably the most I haven't performed in my life. No, in my life before I started acting, I was like 15. So it's like so that in that sense it was like I just had to sit myself and like kind of I haven't sat still since Get Out's come out. So I've had to kind of go, whoa, what happened? Where am I? What am I doing? What's happened? And I had to just really look at myself and really look at things and start from scratch, essentially. I feel for me.
And are you liking the process? Are there parts of yourself you've discovered that you didn't know pre-lockdown?
Yeah, I have vices. I'm trying to lean out of my vices. But what is it that kind of? But no, it is. It's not even like he's not even seeing it as a vice. Do you know what I'm saying? No. It's like, what is it? You're sitting there like, what emotion are you scared of?
Yeah.
Is what it actually is.
Yeah.
Why are you? It's not like why are you dependent on something to stop you thinking or feeling something, because you just don't have the tools. You haven't figured that out. So there's a lot of that, like kind of going, right, cool, like just sitting it. I've been sitting in silence a lot. Like I sit in silence in the morning, like 10 minutes, sit in silence. If my mind gets a bit mad, I just sit in silence and just chill. And then you can kind of see your emotion, your thoughts there, and then you realize that they're separate.
Yeah,
you know?
And they're not you.
Yeah.
And also, I do think that is one of the things that we somehow need to get more people doing to be able to get through this process. For those that are finding it difficult emotionally, a lot of it is what you're talking about in terms of just being comfortable with that. So
yeah, it's seeing that your thoughts and your emotions aren't you. I mean, it's just like something that you're going through or something that's going through you. And then when you see it like that, then you can let them go and you can tell yourself something different. Yeah. You have the power to tell yourself something different.
100%. Well, let's go to the beginning, shall we? I'm always curious when I see creatives, especially creatives from an African background. I want to know how you managed to get your parents to agree for you to be, before I get to the why, I want to know the how you managed to get them to agree.
You know, it was, if I proposed it, I don't think it would have happened. It was a teacher, it was a primary school teacher. I said to my mum, he said, he should get into acting. He's got something happening. There's something happening there. I was just a bit busy. Yeah. And then I would write in plays as a kid. Like I wrote plays as a kid, and then I got into Anna Sher, North London. It was like my mum put me on a waiting list, but then I realized older, my mum got me into it because to get me off the streets. Do you know what I'm saying? Not like on Friday night, Saturday, weekend, just not hanging around, something to do. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Football wasn't going to be my thing, so it was that. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's how I got into it, and then I got into acting through improvisation. Just caught the bug, but so I didn't. It was just like fun for me to do. Then when I was like to my mom, I was like, yeah, like I could just keep this going. it wasn't messing up the grades.
Yes.
Because I was still at school. So as long as they weren't messing up the grades, but then when I got to sixth form, it was.
Okay.
But then I was getting paid.
Oh,
so then when it was like
something else, yeah.
I was getting on TV, so it was like, so then I could get a little C, I could get a little D, I could get a little E now. So I could afford that. She's like, oh,
that job's worth the E.
I did remember I retook my A levels. And I did it externally just because I didn't like my grades. And I just did it. And then I remember I got all A's in like the modules. And then I was like, you know what? I don't even need it like that. I was like, I don't want to know, like, because you have to recalculate it. And I was just like, I don't want to need this. I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to make this happen. But my mum was really supportive, to be real. Like, even when she just wanted to do it, like, she wanted me to go drama school. So she would push me to go drama school and get a degree and this, that, and the other. And then I just was like, I don't know if I got into drama school, but then I got offered to write an episode of Skins. So I was like, yo, mum, like, I can get this and I won't have to pay. Like, I could use the money to pay for it. I can defer it. And then I deferred it and I'd have to re-audition, but I just didn't go back.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? And also, I think what I love about that is how that moment of intervention can change so much. Because often when somebody takes a path that is not the obvious path, there's always been that intervention. So that teacher seeing something in you and then speaking to your mum and it coming from the right person, because as you say, had it been you or even someone else, your mother may not have reacted in the same.
Yeah. That's why I always, if I see something in someone, or I always will big them up. I always say something because you just don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? The ripple effect of that. Do you know what I'm saying? You look like, even like Anna Sher, the reason why my mom didn't know where to start to find Anna Sher, it was a plumber that was doing in our flat. That was like, oh yeah, no, a lot of them go Anna Sher because a lot of people in North were going Anna Sher. So it was that. It was just off chance. But then because she was open to it and she was having conversations, she found out about it. You know what I mean? So, and remember, there's no Google these times. There's no Google.
No.
That's why when all these younger people like come through, I'm like, you got Google. You could do anything. I had to like call up people.
Yellow pages.
Call up people, go, yo, da-da-da-da-da. I had to go into some other person's office I didn't have internet, to email agents, to like this and that for 30 minutes, or even internet cafe. It was mad.
Then. And still back then we had the phone boxes, didn't we?
Yeah, we had phone boxes. Yeah. It wasn't. I didn't have a mobile like that.
No. So let's talk about, we've talked about the how. You mentioned sort of being bitten by the bug. What is that bug? Because the bug is different for every performer. What was it for you?
It's like when you're free, like you're just like present. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. When I was improvising them, nothing else matters. Anything else happened in my life, nothing else mattered. And I was just there, and I was just, I would do an improv, and I would go and I'll spend the rest of the week thinking how I could have perfected it. Wow. And how I could have done it, and how I could have done this and different, this and this is that and the other. And then I was like, wicked, next week I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna try something different. And then you do that, and then you're just thinking about it for the rest of the week. Like, that's why it's just like your headspace. You can get that with computer games. That's why I don't do computer games that much, because it's like, for me, it's not for me, because some people make a career at computer games. You just catch the bug and you just start thinking about perfecting your craft and this is that and the other. So I always wanted to put that headspace to something that would propel me, or that would grow me, that would make me stand at my fullest height. You feel me?
Yeah, of course. And also having that sort of that dedication and that attention to detail, where you were sort of determined to just get better and better, especially at a young age, to have that kind of focus. That in itself isn't normal. It's
fun though, but it's fun. June, I find it fun. Like every character I play, like if I do something, I'll listen and I'll watch it. And it's so interesting because the film came out in America last weekend. And then you're sitting there, you're like, oh, this is how this game works. Yeah. You're like the best person to play this role after the process.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you need, and you're watching yourself essentially 2 years ago. And you're going, oh, you don't know what I know now.
Yes!
You just don't know. You don't know. That's why kind of go, but that's what I'm saying. It's like your old self is teaching you a lesson presently.
Yeah.
Your past is teaching you a lesson. You've got to look at that, your thing, and go, why did you do that? Oh, where did that come from? Okay, let me do that. Okay, and then next, and then moving on, you're just gonna perfect that. Because I see acting styles as flow. I see the script as a beats, as flow. So you're like, you've got to perfect that flow, because that pocket, yeah, you could have done this, you could have done less, you could have done that. And then my head just goes, I just think that way. It's just what I do. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I don't engage with a lot of stuff, because I will just engage with it in that kind of. Yeah. I will go in that, and I just go, you just like, I got like, I don't know, got to eat breakfast, I suppose.
So are you telling us you have a bit of an obsessive personality, Daniel?
I don't think so, June. Is that what called an obsessive personality? That was called obsessive. I wouldn't call it obsessive. I'm calling it, I don't know.
I'm going to call it perfectionist. That's what we're going to call it.
No, I don't think I'm a perfectionist, because I've met perfectionists. And I'm like, that's stressful. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I kind of brother where I'm like, I've got better at just kind of like, if someone says, "Are you cool with that take?" I'm like, "Yeah, you cool?" Like, if it's honest, then I can let go. If I'm being fake or I'm lying, then I can't let go. Yeah. But if I'm being honest, I'm like, that's how I feel right now. And if so, next day, if I would do it differently the next day, but it's not the next day, it's on today. Yeah. So like, it's just like, that's how I felt today.
Yeah, I get it. Passionate about your craft.
Yeah.
So can we talk about, a lot of actors in particular talk about having to let go a part of themselves, the thing that stops you really going there as an actor, in order to sort of be able to embody whatever character that you're playing in the most authentic way. What was that for you? What was the thing that was almost like the wall that you had to push through?
In general?
Yeah.
I think it's like your ego. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I actually let go of how I look and how I'm perceived and how I'm taken in. I'm just here.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It was amazing that I did improv, because it just teaches you to listen. So when you're listening and taking someone in, you can't think of anything. You're just taking someone in. You know what I mean? But in an improv, you got to take someone in order to continue the scene. So then it taught me that. And then when I got on set, you're having this DOP doing this and this sound guy doing that, and then you still have to be there. And then for me, it's like, I'll have a shift in my life, and professionally speaking, I have a shift in my life, and it takes me a year to acclimatize. And then I'll be like, okay, cool. And then by the year, I'm like, all right, cool. And then the next year, I'm like, I'm on it.
Yeah.
And then you're on it and you're doing it, and then you do it probably, and then either two things happen. Either like it doesn't grow you anymore doing it in that way, and you need a new challenge, or like the thing just like rejects you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the thing just rejects you, goes, this isn't, you're not supposed to be here now. You've done it.
Yeah.
You've got to keep moving. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, but I'm a firm believer, like, you got to handle your career creatively in the creative arts. Or I feel like, I think a lot of people have an office job, but in the creative arts. You know what I'm saying? Which is cool. Like, I get it. Like, I wish I was that way inclined, that I was like, I just want the same things every day. So I always want to grow.
Yeah.
I always want to figure my stuff out. But yeah, like, in terms of that role, I just kind of let go. Do you know what I'm saying? And you have to kind of just listen and be present.
I love it. Well, let's talk more about the roles. I've picked three, if you don't mind. And I'm going to start with Chris Washington. Get out! Get out! That was all. I mean, I tell you, I lost my voice. You know how I was watching lots of your interviews as prep for this. Can I say, actually, before we get into all the characters, you know what I'd like more from you? I would like more comedy. You are hilarious. Like, I've been watching your interviews and I've been howling. And there was the one where you were talking about, for a lot of white people, saying they voted Obama instead became, I watched Get Out 3 times. Yeah. I watched Get Out 3 times. And it was like, get out.
That's funny, June. I can't even say Get Out anymore. Like, when someone goes, oh, leave. leave. Depart.
Get out.
You go and get out of my house. I had to switch accents in order to say get out now. But But yeah, no, it's comedy. Yeah, comedy's coming.
Tell me, because I need it. Because I said, this dude is hilarious. But anyway, let's go back to Chris Washington. Tell me about your process for him.
Oh, taking me back. That was a mad one because it was like my first lead role in a film.
Yeah.
And
comes like the sensation of the decade.
No, I was not ready. I was not equipped. I was not equipped, tune.
I mean, we all knew you know, the Brits. We all, oh yeah, that's our guy.
Yeah. And then America was like, what's happening? I was like, what's going on? What's going on? What's this? But I think the process was I think it was weird because I was like figuring out my process in that process.
Okay.
So I used to make like playlists. I used to make playlists, and then I used to have like a couple people that I wanted him to sound like, and then like I would listen to them repeatedly. Then I lost a lot of weight because I wanted him to look like a guy that would lose a fight. So then when he fought at the end, you were more surprised, but it's a more subconscious thing because he was quite slight.
Yes.
And I've got quite broad shoulders, and then so like I knew that like sometimes I just have a physique where I look like I can handle myself. But I didn't want that energy in it, so I would train really heavily.
Yeah, there was a fragility about him, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Totally I wanted that kind of the leanness of him, and also he does photography, so he's like an artistic brother. Yeah. But yeah, and then I just read the script. I do this thing where I read the script a lot. I just read it every day, read it, and kind of just take, and just go, and then I'll just until I'm like I've had enough now.
Okay.
I get it, and then it's just in you.
Did you create a life for them before in your mind? Do you do that where you sort of create their childhood and all of their dreams and their fears, or you don't do that?
No, at that point I didn't. I didn't do that because I tried it on another job and it was like it didn't go down well. So then I was just like, I was just like, let me just. But it was more kind of, I think it's more like spiritually speaking, kind of like getting the emotional arcs. That's what I feel my job is to kind of hold the emotion of the film. If you're the lead and stuff, like hold the emotion of the film and have those turns. Yeah. So I was kind of looking at that. Like later on in my career, I started really looking at the facts and what the facts tell us about him before the film starts. Yeah. But then I just kind of was just in my accent all the time. Then because I was in America, I was in Albuquerque, so no one knew me like that. So I was just in the accent like throughout the whole shoot. When I went to the shop, when I went to the gym, I was American. I was just American. Wow. And so so I did that continuously. And then it was a 23-day shoot. So it was a lot. But then Jordan's amazing because he's an actor. So he understood. So he took us to a house for a weekend, the majority of the cast, and we kind of bonded and like did scenes and we spoke and it was just a great vibe and we got to know each other and it was a real kind of company kind of coming together.
Did he sort of create scary pranks and stuff to get you all in the mood of the film? Were there like people jumping out of wardrobe?
No, there was no. No, I didn't have no time for that. I wouldn't trust how I react. I was having a working environment. I ain't got time for no cases.
I might have lost weight, but hey, if I need
to. Hey, buddy. But yeah, no, I did that.
There's rumor that you might be doing something else with Jordan, isn't there? Is that true?
Come on, June. You know we don't talk about rumors. Come on, man.
We love a rumor here.
I've got some rumors about you, June. We can all tango. No. You know what it is for me? It's just like I don't really wanna. Just keep it pushing. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But Jordan's amazing, though.
He is. We love him. Okay, I won't push. So let's talk about W'Kabi and Black Panther. Talk me through that process. And actually, that accent must have been easier for you, no? Because that's kind of channeling your family, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, but it was a massive learning curve because I remember I did that. Like, it was like working with Ryan and that incredible cast. But a lot of time, I really wanted to understand what the big budget films were like, what that was. Do you know what I'm saying? And I learned a lot about my process through that experience. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like going, oh, like you have to own it. You have to go, this is what I'm doing. This is what I need. You can't just, I think in England now, you're kind of, they do cater to you. They do cater to like what you need. They'll give you space in order to you to create and that. But in America, you have to kind of fork out that space for yourself, and you go, "This is what's happening. This is what I'm doing."
Yeah.
And it taught me that. It taught me that process. Taught me that. And there's a lot of stunt work, a lot of that. But I made friends for life on that one. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and it was so important for me because I was in this weird point where I didn't really know like Black people in the industry in America. Like all the people that I knew that were in LA them times or in America them times were British and they were white. And it's like, well, my experience is different. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I was just like, there's certain conversations, there's certain things like, and then to have someone like, when Get Out's coming out, I'm on set of Black Panther and Lupita's pulling me aside and said, you don't realize how famous you are. And I'm like, no, I don't know what's happening. And then Mike pulling you up, Mike, Chad, they're all pulling you to the side and dropping game and just saying, yo, this and that and deny. Like everyone is lifting you up. Do you know what I'm saying? And also working with Letitia, because we've done a.
Oh, how much do we love Letitia? I love her so much.
I met her. I remember I got a picture. I actually saw it last night. I got a picture of me and her. She came to watch a play that I did when I was 21. And she was before she acted. And it was such an amazing picture. And then and we did a radio play together. Yeah. I think, I can't remember, we did another job together. I can't remember which one, maybe Random. I think we did Debbie Tucker Green Random. I think Tish was in it. I'm not sure. But yeah, so we just, and then to have that experience on Panther, and to see that be amazing. But it was like, the accent was challenging, but it was challenging in the sense that like, I didn't fork out the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I didn't fork out the time, and it was like, oh, we had to do it. And also, you're not really given the pages. So it was a completely different process. You have to sign on this thing, to sign on this app, to sign that, to kind of read your script and read your line.
So all of the sort of secrecy around it.
Secrecy, so it gets in the way of like getting to the thing. So then you go on set and I had to just let go. You go on set and they have changed the lines. So I just would never learn the lines. I just have my accent down and be in the accent for the whole day. And then Ryan would feed me what I need to be fed, and then you just roll like that. But it was an incredible experience, like just in terms of life. Like that experience it changed my life. It changed my life, and it opened my world to what was possible.
You realize the magnitude of what you were in, because actually it's amazing, Daniel. Your career is quite incredible in the sense that you've been at the sort of apex of so many big moments in the last sort of decade or so, particularly around the Black experience and what that is becoming globally. Did you understand, like when you guys were doing Black Panther, did you get it, that it was going to be what it was?
I think one of my superpower, June, is that I am oblivious a lot of the time. Yeah. So I kind of do things and I go, I understand what it is. I understand that. Yeah, I mean, logically I understand that. But here I'm like, it needs to happen for me to get it.
Yes.
Oh, right. That's what this means. Oh, that's what it means. But I think I need to be in that space in order to just play the character.
Yeah.
Because you're telling a story. You're telling a story in order to tell it clearly and truthfully so you can contribute to that moment. You have to kind of not see it as a moment. You have to kind of go, oh, I'm just showing up every day, doing my job, doing my thing, and not seeing the gravity of what you're doing or what you're a part of. There was moments where you saw it on set, you're like, wow, I've got chills. Like, it was like, wow, this is absolutely insane. And I just knew that it's not going to be quiet. I just knew it wasn't going to be quiet, but I'm just on job. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just put my head down, and also all those moments, they're not really about you, it's about the world.
Now the funny thing is, with Get Out, you had no idea what it was going to become. It took the world by storm. With Black Panther, everybody knew it was going to be a big film, even though they didn't know it'd be as big as it was. It's Marvel, it's this phenomenal ensemble cast. There was a sort of criteria and a set of ingredients that meant something really significant was going on here. If we go now to Queen and Slim, that was one of those where you don't know, do you? That's one of those, it matters. This story needs to be told, but it could be two people or it could be 20 million people. Like you don't know how it's going to be received, because it was such a unique story, and the way it was shot, the way it was filmed. Yeah, talk me through that.
Yeah, I think, you know what it is, I make choices on a lot of jobs. Is like, if this was a play, would I do it?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
and with a play, you're not really engaged with how many people are seeing it. If
Mm.
that's not part, either you're like upstairs at the Royal Court, or like, I don't know, like little stage on Young Vic, you ain't really engaged with that. You engage with like, this story fills me.
Yeah.
Just then I feel this, and I wanna inhabit this space, and I want to tell this story. Like, so it was kind of like that. That's how I kind of engage with everything. Is like, I want to connect,
Yeah.
and then the gravity of the, like, the scale of the connection is to do with the time. There's nothing to do with you. It's like, if you've connected to one person, then it's a success.
Yeah.
I see it as like, if someone feels it, even if someone doesn't like it, it's better than being indifferent.
Yeah.
You understand? And going, meh. You know what I mean? It's like, it's cool. You made a connection. You moved somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of saw it like that. So with that, I did see it as a play. You know what I mean? It was being Slim, and I was like, oh, this is such an intimate story.
Oh,
And I just always felt that, like, I felt like a lot of films that I had engaged with, that I'd watched, was just like, in a world. It's like this other world. And then now seeing the real world is now escapism in cinema. It's how I felt. And so I was kind of like, oh yeah, this feels real, but it's like something happens that gives it a little click.
Yeah.
And yeah, so and then also working with Melina and Lena, I just think they're incredible people, and Jodie. Like, so it was for me, it was like, I'm fans of these people. You know what I'm saying? So to be on a journey with them was amazing as well. So it was just like it was an amazing process.
And what was also brilliant about Slim was the control of him as a person, and the sort of, I don't know if understatement is the word, but there was all that just bubbling beneath the surface, isn't it? You just felt how much he was holding back. I think that was what I found so powerful in your performance, because it spoke to the feeling that so many people in society have, particularly those that come from discriminated groups, or those that have not been given the kind of opportunity they should be given in life. You just knew there was just so much more there that was just being held back. I just loved him.
Yeah, it was probably one of the most challenging characters I've ever played, because he didn't want anything more.
Yeah.
He didn't want any, like, he was happy with who he is. And this thing happened, and he was just like, I want my life back. I love my life. I loved everything about it. I just want a woman to share that with, but I love my life. I don't feel like I need to be more than who I am. And so then it kind of goes, whoa, it really look at myself and go, yeah, what does ambition even mean?
Yeah.
Is that like, what does that mean? Does that mean that you have worthy issues? Do you know what I'm saying? Is that like, do you know what I'm saying? Is that it really illuminated that to me. And it was a real challenge to find the conflict in it. And I would agree with what you saw, June, in terms of, like, it was the suppression of an emotion.
Yes,
And
that's what I've been meaning to say. That's what it was.
The suppression of, like, like having to be rational in the face of irrationality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In some face of injustice, having to be clear and having to be thinking, have to be together in a sense that, like, this is nothing to do with me. I had to protect myself, but I mean, I found the inner conflict. But in terms of how he felt about himself, he was cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was content, and that I found that fascinating.
Well, thank you for that role. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So let's talk about Fred Hampton. I mean, how do you prepare for that role, especially when the family are alive, and you then spend time with them and really wanting to do that story justice, and as you alluded to earlier, having obviously knowing the significance, but not knowing the added significance that there would be with it actually now coming out now, with everything that we've been through over the past year?
So what are we talking about, June? How was the process, you're saying?
Well, what did you do mentally to prepare for such an important role, knowing that this isn't something that you can craft per se in your own head? This isn't somebody who lived. This is somebody that means so much to so many. Surely the weight of that in itself.
Yeah, it was weighty. It was weighty. But that's what I'm saying. It's about those experiences with Get Out, those experiences with Black Panther threat me to own it. You know what I'm saying? It's like this is the thing. I gotta own it. It's on me. Yeah. This process. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make it what makes me feel good. Because I'm in this. I'm a vessel for him in that sense. So
did you know much about his story before, or did you learn it from coming to the role?
I knew. I remember I was at a place and I saw the date that he was born and the date that he was assassinated, and going, that don't make sense. And I remember going, what? Wait, hold on, that's a typo. I was literally going, that's a typo. Yeah. Like he was 21. Yeah. And then I googled it. I was like, he's not 21. And I was like, I said, oh wow, he's 21. Not only that he assassinated a 21-year-old, but like he made it to chairman by 21. I was like, who is this guy? And I remember that day I was reading up on him, and this is that and the other. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's amazing. It's not like, who is this guy? I'd heard about him, but I didn't know he was that age. Yeah. And so I was just like, wow, this is incredible. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna take a deep dive into it one day. And yeah, so that's all I knew coming to it. I knew he meant something real, and I knew I was intrigued, you know what I'm saying, of the stuff that I read at that time. And I understood his gravity and I understood his standing. And I kind of just led with that.
And you got to know Fred Hampton Jr., didn't you?
Yeah.
What was that for him? Because obviously he never got to really know his father, because his father was killed in such a tragic way when he was so young. So in a way, was that for him reliving that through the experience of this film being made? Did you think perhaps?
No, it's weird because he wasn't reliving, because he didn't arrive. I mean, he Chairman Fred was assassinated 2 weeks before he was born. Oh my God. And so, but I did remember there was one moment when we did the screen test. So it's like basically like they're trying to see if the looks are right, and then the thing. So I go into the studio. It's the first time I dressed as chairman. Go into the studio. The first person I see is Fred Hampton Jr. And you know what I'm saying? And it was that kind of like we was the same height, and he hugged me so deeply, and it was just you just realize like, man, this guy lost his dad, man. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, they killed his dad, yeah. And like, and that you just understand like, man, these people going through it. You know what I'm saying? Really going through it, and just gaslit throughout it. You know what I'm saying? As kind of like, oh no, he didn't do this, we didn't do that. It's just like, so it was, but it was great to get for him to be on set, and Mama Akua, and she's in a film, Deborah Johnson, but she goes Akua and Njiri, but it was just great to be close to them and to just have them on side. And just that they would just always steer us in the right direction whenever we was going a bit off. They would just make sure we were going in the right direction. And then we still talk to now. We still talk.
Amazing. And obviously when you were making it, we didn't know what would be coming a year later with the killing of George Floyd, and obviously the real explosion. Obviously Black Lives Matter has been going for a long time, but the explosion in terms of the world really taking note. Do you think that in a way, without getting esoteric as we've been getting at the beginning of our chat, but do you think that in a way Fred's spirit has made it so that the film is out now? Because I think the conversation that's going to be had about it now is very different to if this film had come out 2 years ago.
You know, it is on a deeper one, June. Let's
go there, babe. Let's go there.
And I don't think like that's what I'm trying to say. Where this isn't me, bro. This isn't like me doing this. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean this in a religious way. I mean it's just in a real way. It's God, bro. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It because it's just like things happen. You're like, wow, like it was coming out in August. You know what I'm saying? And like the world went through this mad moment, and you're sitting there. And I remember looking at the protests and the response to the murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, and you're like, wow, like And then he's calling Shaka, the director, and the cast, and then you're like, wow, like we've actually just made a film that articulates what everyone is feeling.
Yeah,
literally just finished it at the end of 2019, and so you're just literally like, you kind of go, wow, this is just like, that's what I say. It's like it reaching the masses, it connecting. It's nothing to really do with you in that sense. You're trying to do it, and then the time figures it out. It's like Get Out. We shot that. Obama was in. It came out. Trump was in. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a different climate. You know what I mean? It's like you're in a different space, and it's more than, and it's not like, oh, the whole world is configuring around so that a film could like resonate more deeply. That's not how life works. But what I'm saying is that kind of, I just feel that if you're just telling the truth and you're brave enough and courageous enough to go, this is what I feel is the truth, then it will be received. But also as well, that's just fortunate. It could be like, I don't know, like years later, like someone like American Psycho. Yeah. From what I heard, that it wasn't really, I wasn't really up at them times when it was out. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was living my life playing outside, playing 40-40 or something. Yeah. But like, but it's like,
you were born, Daniel.
Yeah. I'm not sure. But I heard that it wasn't really received that well at the time. You know what I'm saying? And look at the life it had. Look at the life it has because of what's happening. You know what I mean? It's just because it told the truth and it was unapologetic about that. So it's like, it's incredible, and it's a blessing that the time shifts for the stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah.
But I have to own that I'm still going to tell the truth. And if it doesn't shift, I'm still telling the truth. You feel me?
I love it. I have one more before we go to the Q&A. I think the thing that I love most about your career and your career to date, because there are many more years to come, but is the discernment of your choices, even at the beginning of your career. Because, you know, like I said, those of us in the UK, we've seen you rise and seen the wonderful explosion of your career. But the discernment of your choices, and we know our industry has a long way to go in terms of inclusion, in terms of the types of roles that are offered to Black people, and particularly Black men in terms of how men of color are characterized. And for you to have had this level of discernment from the beginning, where you wouldn't have had, now is different because, you know, everybody's calling you, offering you roles. But at the beginning, where you didn't have many choices and many options, and still to choose so wisely, where did that discipline come from? And how can you give other talent and actors, and many who will be on this line watching this interview, the confidence to do the same? Because that's not easy.
No, it's not like, honestly, when your money's struggling, that it's hard. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's difficult. And I always say this, integrity is expensive.
It's expensive.
Very expensive. It ain't cheap. And I don't look at anyone that's taking this and taking that. Like, if they want to feed their family and trying to have a better life, who am I to say it? Do you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I remember I did work experience in year 10. I was at Barclays Bank, doing work experience in Camden Town, And I was just like, bro, like, I was just looking forward to Friday. I was just like, I can't do this, man. I can't live like this. Wow. That was just deep in my soul. I was like, I cannot, like, I was getting down.
Yeah.
Like, I was 15. I was getting down. I'm like, I don't like this. You know what I'm saying? So where I was like going into this and I think I'm just, if I do something I don't like, I'm just toxic. Like, it's not like I'm good energy. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not like, and so it's that. And so for me, it was just like, I don't want to present myself in that space, but also it's like, I don't think inherently, like, the money's nice, but I don't do this for money. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I always just say to myself, I'm from the real world. If I wanted money, I'd work in finance. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'll put if my life was about money.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know then what it was about, but I just knew that, like, nah. And then there's certain roles you're just like, it's weird because there's back in the day, it's not like, it was just, I wouldn't get the roles that I didn't like. Like, I would subconsciously throw them in an audition. Like, I would not do all of myself because I just didn't mess with it. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't mess with it. And so I felt like and also I feel like I was exposed to a lot of incredible things very early on in my career. And so being in that Skins writers room and sitting down with Jack Thorne, sitting down with Ben Schiffer, sitting down with Brian Elsley, Lucy Kirkwood's there, Camilla Blackett's all there. They're all there. I'm 17 and they're breaking down story and they're breaking that thing. And then the first thing I did was shoot The Messenger. You know what I mean? And then that really resonated with the Black community in London. Yeah. And then Skins comes out. And then I'm like, wow. So then obviously your just standard is like, well, then it's got to do that. Right. It's got to speak to people. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like a lot of times you see people is how they arrived in the industry. They just perpetuate that unless they get themselves out of an unconscious loop. Yeah. So I just go, all right, cool. It's just that. So then I would gravitate towards more provocative conversations, starting things like, because it just spoke to me. Yeah. And then I did all this. I did all the jobs, but I knew why I was doing it. I was doing it because I wanted to learn, and I just loved it. I loved doing it. I loved being on set. And I love telling stories. And then when I did Sucker Punch and I did Black Mirror, I was like, Sucker Punch is a play. And I did Black Mirror. I was like, oh, this means something to me. So I got to a different space where I'm like, oh, this means something to me. But Black Mirror, I'm 22. Yeah. And then that's when I was really faced with like, yeah, the way the industry was, there weren't no inclusion and them times. There were a lot of moments where they're like, I would get the role and then they would call and say, yeah, no Black leads. And then I wouldn't get the role. Wow. Do you understand? So then I knew it was a game. So then I realized I had to like protect myself and take care of myself in that game. So I was just like, well, then you can't see me like that. Then. Like, because I knew showing up to audition, I'm complicit to the racism. Yeah. Do you understand? Like just showing up. Yeah. So I had to look at myself like, Daniel, what are you saying about it? Like if you don't like these people, but then I have strong feelings. Do you know what I'm saying? So if something doesn't work, if I don't like something, like the idea of just doing stuff, it just doesn't really fill me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like, you know, the reality is June, like you can get caught up in like these emotions of the present and this and that. But like really and truly, when we're doing stuff 50, 60 years from now, they ain't gonna care about the culture like that. What was the nuances and the micro of the culture, what was happening at that time. They're gonna go, what are the messages that you are channeling? What are the ideas? What is they're gonna take it in as that? Yeah. So when I started seeing it from a bigger picture, I started going, right, cool. And this may be quite dark. I used to see it like, boom, when you die, it's gonna be like Daniel Kaluuya, open bracket, one job, comma, another job, and then if you're lucky, and another job, close brackets. And that's the game. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, and that's not being like, it's just that thing where like, well, what am I leaving here? Yes. Is that what am I leaving here? And if I'm not enjoying something, I appreciate the opportunities, but if I'm not enjoying something, I don't feel like I have to do it or fill it. And I'm just comfortable in silence. I'm comfortable in not working. Like I will stick it out. I will just stick it out. I'll just stick it out and say, if I don't work for 5 years because the right role, I will just stick it out because I'm stubborn. Yeah. And I go, no, I'm not doing it because what's the point?
And comfortable in the not knowing. That's the other thing. A lot of people want certainty. So being comfortable with uncertainty.
But I think being the unknown and the uncertainty, like, is the certain bit for me. Okay. Like I see it as that that's when you know you're hitting something because you don't know.
You don't know.
Like that's what I'm trying to say about people in the creative arts don't handle their careers creatively. If you know what's gonna happen, it's not as interesting. No. So if I'm sitting there like June, I don't know what I'm working on this year or next year. I have no idea. I'm sitting you looking at your eye, I have no idea. And I'm cool with that. Like that's exciting to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, and if it speaks to me in that moment, and all my job actually is to read in between that time. It's to study and like study script, study story, study structure, study like and build projects that I like and this is that and the other and read up because I see this as the off season and read up and grow myself. Yeah. Yeah. And then when I got the time, all you're doing on a job is summarizing what you've learned. Yeah. And you're going boom. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then and then you got to go again and then grow again.
I love it. I love it, Daniel. I love it. So we have a great question that's come in. This is from Megan Shandley. And she says, I saw your short film at the London Short Film Festival. I loved it.
Wicked. Thank you.
What was the inspiration behind it?
So I just find stand-up comedians fascinating. I've always found them fascinating, and I just felt like
they are an interesting breed, aren't they?
Yeah. I was around a lot of them because I was doing like that kind of like, there was a circuit, there was like a black circuit, like a black comedy circuit. That was.
Said it. What did I say at the beginning of our conversation? Now it all makes sense.
I wasn't a comedian. I never did a comedian. I never was a comedian, but I was around. I was friends with a lot of comedians, and I'm still am.
It just clearly through osmosis.
Yeah. So I was around, and I was doing sketches and stuff like that with them, and this, that, and the other, because we were just making stuff on the fly on YouTube. So then I just found it interesting, like the conflict in what you present and how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And just like, and like when you strip that down, who are these two people? I just found that really interesting. And I wanted to see a narrative of two black people doing stand-up, just and it just is, you know. That's what really excited me.
Brilliant. Okay, so Josh Thompson says Queen and Slim was your first major release credit as a producer. How did that come about, and how was that different to the process of acting? And is this what you want to do more of? Which I suppose touches on the first question too.
That came about because I was the first person to read the script.
Oh.
I met with Lena. Lena had written it, and I just sat down with Lena. This is before Master of None had come out, but it's before The Shy came out, before she won the Emmy. I sat down with her, and then like she said, I got the script, and she just sent it to me, and I was like, yo, I really want to be a part of it. And then I was just feeding notes and in that process, and the process was amazing for me. It was so exciting to kind of like understand how, for me, what was really exciting is the release part, like and how you can really shape the release and the battles that you have to fight in order for the release to be in a certain way. I'm really adamant that like the how the film is presented should reflect the film and should reflect the director, and it will resonate more because of it. So it was like learning and stuff like that, and you're just privy to certain conversations, and I want to be able to like have like a stake into my perception and my image. And if you're like, I can't, like, if I just feel compromised. I feel compromised if like I'm just doing stuff. I want to have a stake, but I'm definitely going to do more producing. That's what I mostly do now, is like on Zooms and that. But it's like I find it really exciting because it just reminds me of like making plays with my friends back in the day when you're just making stuff, and it's just about making it and figuring stuff out and making breakthroughs. So that makes me happy.
Okay, love it. Oh, this is a lovely one. This is from TD Moyo. He says, or she says, I'm not sure. Daniel, I'm from South London. I'm a theatre maker. What is the most beautiful dope lesson you could share with an emerging storyteller?
Man, dope lesson. But I would have to. Okay.
And beautiful too. I mean, TD wants both, not just dope, beautiful too.
You know what it is? You're right, cool. June, to support what you say, to support your theory that I should do more comedies. I got this lesson by doing a comedy. Okay. And then like I did this show called Psychoville. And then like I was doing Psychoville, and it was like I was in the scene and it was these Siamese twins, and I had to kiss one of them. I don't know, it was weird. And then but it was funny. But it was like, and then like I think I was 19, and I was doing the scene, I was being funny, I was doing funny stuff. And then the director, Matt Lipsey, like I'll never forget this. He just pulled me to the side. And he was like, Daniel, never play the funny, always play the truth. He'd always play the truth. And he just left. And then it just, for whatever reason, that spoke to me. And as a lesson, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, don't try and be an emotion. If you tell the truth, then you are the emotion.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes in terms of storytelling. And it's like, what's the truth here? What's the truth here? Like, what's the, it's okay to say it. You know what I mean? But a lot of times people's like, obstacles is because they're not being honest with themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's for me off top. That's the lesson. There's probably other ones, but you know, I'll probably come back to you.
So TD, you hear that? What's the truth in this lesson? And also being truthful with yourself, which is the hardest thing for a lot of people to do. Okay, this one is from Herb Scannell. And Herb says, when you finish a project, how do you separate yourself from a character that has a heavy backstory? Oh, I'm presuming maybe he means Fred Hampton, without taking so much of it with you?
Something I'm learning. It's not something that I'm kind of like figured out yet. It's something I'm like really figuring out, and I'm really admitting that like these characters really do like have a weight in me.
Oh, wow.
And if you are not present, they can really eat you up. You know what I'm saying? That playing chairman Fred made me really respect acting. And I know it's not like I didn't respect it, but I was just like, oh, yeah, man just does this, day, boom, say a line, bam.
Yeah.
I was in denial.
Yeah.
I was carrying Get Out. I was carrying the stuff that happened on Panther. I was carrying Queen and Slim. I was carrying Widows. I was carrying all these guys. Like I was, and then chairman, and you're carrying it because you having to. I have a belief that your subconscious doesn't think you're acting. That doesn't know it.
Oh, well, you
doesn't know. I think
properly and authentically if it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, your subconscious is a baby, isn't it? You know, it doesn't know you're acting. No. It's just going through those emotions. So you're taxing your soul in that way. So I kind of like realized that I had to kind of I used to take myself away like for a week and by myself, but that's not enough. You have to just consistently like connect with yourself, but you have to build a life for yourself so that when you come back to yourself, you can just continuously connect the same way you've continuously connected this character. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, because sometimes you just get a bit of your trauma, get a bit of their trauma and just hotwire it. And then just, it goes. But then you go, and then you just leave it. But then the wires are like that.
Yes.
You come back, you try to drive the car, yeah? And you're like, yo, why the brakes funny? Yeah. Why these brakes funny? Why the brakes funny? Where's the lights? You're on this cool road, the lights ain't working, but you just like, it's like, go on, you got to service it. You got to service the car. You got to service what you're doing. Do you understand? It's what I'm learning now. Like I'm at the beginning of that journey in that sense. So I'm figuring out.
Are there times where you think you're not done with a character? Where you're like, I still have more to say from this person?
Nah, never. Because that's the truth. I kind of just see it as like people. I think there's like certainly I've got more to say from this energy.
Okay.
I feel like sometimes you can't touch an energy that you haven't really experienced before and go, oh, that could grow. Like something in Widows, that energy in Widows, I know I can grow in that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I just know that I can grow in that. So I go, oh, cool. There's probably, but in terms of what at that moment, you just got to accept it for that moment.
Brilliant. Okay, one final question from Gillian Simpson. And Gillian says, Daniel, thank you so much for doing this masterclass. I agree, Gillian. She says, do you have any advice for a first-time director working with actors? How do you like to be directed? Oh, is there something we should know, Gillian? and what advice have you got?
Director, listen. It's listening is so important, and like not taking things personally, because it's a lot. Like for a first-time director, it's a lot to take it. But I feel for me, it's like,
do you think it's harder for a first-time director if they're working with big name talent?
I think it's hard for a first-time director in general, because they are some of my friends say it's like you can't not have the energy that you think that this is the only film that you're gonna make. Okay. Because you haven't done it again. So there's a level of anxiety on set that you bring just because you're like, this is my only shot. You know what I'm saying? And it's about, and I always feel like the real G's, the real masters can be at peace with themselves and not project that and not push that onto the actors. Do you know what I'm saying? And go, It's just accept everything, just accept and just figure out how to make, because there's a lot of times it's a solution-based business directing. I see. I mean, I haven't directed, so it's from what I've seen. So when you're on set, so it's that kind of like something happens, you've got to find a solution. So it's like if you're anxious, you're not able to see clearly. And so if you're dealing with actors and that, you're like, you may miss out on an idea because you're like, I saw it like this. But I'm like, but it's not that. Yeah. Like, there's a reason why I don't really learn my lines like that. Yeah. I don't really learn my lines. I go on set, vibe out, see what's the set saying? What's the set saying? All right, cool. What's it talking to me? All right, cool, boom. See that? All right, cool. All right, what's the lines? The line chatting to me. The lines ain't chatting to me like that. All right, cool, boom, boom. And then you learn it on the go. I don't go with an expectation because that would limit me. Because I'm not accepting, because maybe I would use this apple and eat this apple in the scene because I feel like it. It's not written down. And it's that like you just let the ideas hit you in the moment. So that's what it is. It's about being prepared, but not having expectations. So you'd be more open to amazing ideas that come in the moment. You know what I'm saying? That will really elevate and make it feel alive. Because you feel that when the idea is new. I don't think the audience is aware of it, but you do feel like, oh, this is a new idea. And this is someone they figured out in a moment, because it feels like a bit like life, because it's not premeditated.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, on that note, Daniel, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for spending time with us. I thank you for the impact that you're having, not just on our industry, but on culture in general, because it is so needed. And we thank your mother, and we thank that teacher that decided.
My mom's gonna go crazy. I said, listen, hey, mom, Jean Sampong said thank you to you. Say,
oh, auntie. No, auntie. I know how to do
listen. Listen, she don't ask for no one for pictures. She's gonna ask for your picture ASAP. ASAP. Trust me.
Tell her I want hers.
All right, cool.
So thank you, my lovely. To everybody, thank you for joining us. Next week, we have a masterclass with Sasha Dewan. So go to the BAFTA website to find out how to log on to that. Daniel, thank you so much.
Cheers, everyone, for watching. Peace and love.